So during our break between this first and second pillar, Randy, you said something that we somewhat mentioned this earlier, but you said, as we're talking about this, you're already saying to yourself, why did I not know these things, right? You want to expound on that a little bit?
I was just saying, like, hey, I've been successful. I feel like I'm a good communicator, but I'm sitting here thinking, like, how come I don't know this principle? Like, there's been so many times I could have used yes and I was just saying, like, it's exciting. Like, I think I've been successful, but I'm sitting here feeling very humbled and thinking, man, I can be so much better.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that is the mindset that we as leaders have to have. That's why for me, this is going to be a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong obsession. It's something I think about all the time. And what's so fascinating is once you really start to lean into it, then you see it everywhere. And it's just constantly something that's on your mind. So let's move to pillar 2. And you actually mentioned this one earlier as well. Now, this is the one that I call, and to me, this is the essence of really, when we talk about transformative leadership communication, the principle is question first. That's what we call it. Question first. Now, the core behind this is that as leaders, it's not our job to tell them the thing. Rather, it's our job to do what?
Help them discover it.
Yeah. Help them discover it. Just like I did with you just now. Just now, I did question first. Mm-hmm. Because instead of saying the actual answer, I let who say it?
You let us figure it out.
I let you just say it just now. And by allowing you to say it just now, how does that make our conversation different?
Well, because I feel like it's my idea, like it's different.
Yours. You own it. Mm-hmm. That's the power of question first. When you, yes.
I was just saying, I think also it helps like that critical thinking, right? Like you're not always we always talk about like, how come I'm always the one that has to figure this stuff out? Well,
yes.
Because we're not making them figure it out. So
that's it.
Asking those questions helps them start realizing like, I need to be thinking about this, or even maybe more empowering is like, I'm capable of solving these problems.
That's it. Because, now here's where it gets interesting. Once you start teaching question first to leaders and managers, oftentimes, many of them initially will think, somebody comes to me with an obvious problem, they got a question, it's clear I already know the answer, I'm rushed on the job site, I got a million things going on. The last thing they want to do is walk them through it. Mm-hmm. They just want to answer the question. Now, there's a few different reasons why we want to answer those questions oftentimes, right? One is yes, because we see it as efficient in the moment. Mm-hmm. There's other reasons too, though, if we're being really honest with ourselves. Yeah. Why do most leaders, I'm not saying you two, but why do most leaders tend to quickly answer questions when someone comes to them with that problem or need?
Could be ego.
Ego. What do you mean by that?
They're the leader. They're the ones with the answers. They always need to have the answer.
That's right. Mm-hmm. They are the leader. They're the ones with the answer. And what's interesting about that is we do the same as parents. You have 4 kids, right, Randy?
Yep.
I have sometimes parents tell me, my kid, all he or she does is ask me questions all day long. Now, my response is what? What do you think?
How come you're not asking him back?
That's right. And how many questions are you asking your kid?
Yeah.
I remember one time sitting on a flight on an airplane. This wonderful mother and daughter behind me. Daughter was probably 4 years old. She must have asked that mom 1,000 questions on that flight. She just went. It did not stop asking questions. And guess how many questions that mother asked that daughter?
None.
Not a single one. And she's teaching her in that moment what? What is she teaching her?
Think for herself, not be curious.
Who's the genius?
Yeah.
Who's the genius?
Mom has all the answers.
Mom's got all the answers.
Yeah.
And inherently, leaders are like parents. We don't realize it, but we like the fact that our kids think we're geniuses, that we're Google, that we got all the answers. And so, oftentimes we tend just to give the answer. Now, she was a world-class mother, no doubt. But the development of that child will be dramatically greater if the child asks the question and mom or dad says, so let's see if we can figure this out together, which is the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we can figure this out together. In conjunction with this, if you as a manager or a leader, Aaron, answer their questions as soon as they come into your office, what does it teach them to do?
Continue to ask me questions and seek the answer from me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Keep coming to Aaron every time I got a question. He's got the answer.
Yeah.
How many leaders in this industry are overwhelmed with constant barragement of questions, problems, issues coming to them from their team?
A lot of them, and yet they continue to enable it.
They enable it,
Yeah.
and it's a vicious cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think not only just the industry as a whole, but I think about, me as a business owner, right? Growing a business. I mean, how valuable would it have been had I been better at this?
Yes.
Because you outgrow yourself, right? Like all of a sudden you can't answer questions because you don't have enough time, but you haven't taught them how to think. And so things just start, like, I don't know if you've seen this, but I feel like there's kind of always this plateau where people get to the point where they outgrow themselves, and then stuff's not going right anymore. And they're like, what do I do? And either they figure it out that they got to train up everybody around them and be better at it, or they don't, and then they're gone.
Yes. That's the essence of our conversation. Now, question first literally is a philosophy and approach to life. It's letting go of the need to be the hero, letting go of the need to be seen as the one that has all the answers, and learning to make heroes out of everyone you come in contact with. One way you know that you are doing this is by those light bulb moments your team gets. How often in an employee interview or conversation does your team member say, wait, I got it? Or, you know what? Now that you mention it, Randy, here's what I think we should do. Now, the whole time you knew what they should do. But because you helped them get there, they were able to your point, own it for themselves. Now, there's a key to this, though. What we don't do is when somebody comes to us, we don't say, so what do you think?
Yeah.
What's the right approach? What do you think? What's the right approach?
I think it's about asking questions, but asking questions that help them get the discovery, right? Like lead them to the answer. So, well, why do you feel that way, or what do you mean by that? And really, like through questions, coach them towards the solution.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to set this up the right way, though, especially if they're not used to it. Sometimes leaders hear this stuff and they're like, man, I'm going to start doing this. And then they start doing it with their team. Their team's like, what's going on here? Why are you asking me all these questions? Which is why, to set it up the right way, which is actually called vanguarding, we're going to talk about that here in a few minutes, to prevent any issues, you tell the person when they come to you with the issue, all right, Randy, I'm so glad you came to me with this issue. I want us to figure this out together. And I got a feeling that you've got some ideas there. So let's talk about it. Now, if I say that, your mindset, your feelings are what?
Like I'm thinking, you're not putting it on me. I'm thinking like he's going to help me figure this out.
That's
We're
right.
going to figure it out.
We're going on a journey together. There's no judgment here. Let's, key phrase, let's go figure this out together. That's part of this. When you're teaching your team at a company meeting, do you pontificate the entire time? Or are you leading a conversation through the questions you're asking your team. Once again, question first says, I let the team teach themselves. Now, if you're a salesperson, once again, do you pitch the whole time? Or an estimator, call it what you want, right? Or are you asking things in such a way that they're able to figure them out on their own? So we're going to do a little test here. This is tough. This is going to be a tough challenge. Something that you've never done before.
Can he go first?
Okay? All right. We'll put Aaron on the spot for this one, Randy. We'll put Aaron on the spot for this one. What we're going to do is an activity that we call the question-only game. The question-only game. Now, here's how it works. How it works is one person is going to ask the other a question. Already know what those questions are, okay? Now, the person that is answering the question, they're only allowed to answer it with questions.
So are we assuming the stage has been set that we're going to solve it together, or do we need to kind of do that same introduction?
No, you're just gonna go right into the questions. Cool. Now, here's the thing about it, though. Here's the thing about it. You're allowed to make one sentence or statement that's not a question.
Okay.
And that's when you say at the end, and that's exactly what it is. Because that means they have just figured out for themselves the answer to the question.
Okay.
Now,
no pressure.
to make this easier, more easily understood, I'll be the first one. Okay? So I'm going to have you ask me a question.
Okay.
It's a complicated question. We'll make it about marketing. Okay? I'm going to have you ask me the question. Now, I am going to only ask questions. Now, what I'm not allowed to say, though, as part of this game is, so what do you think it is? All right?
And
can't do that.
And I get to come up with a question, just something about marketing.
I'll give you the question.
Okay.
All right, I was just going to make it easy for you.
I was going to come up with a good one.
You can do that, but all right, we can come back on that one. All right, let's just show a quick, easy one here, right?
Yeah.
And so you're going to ask me this question. I'll give you the question.
Okay.
You ask me the question. I'm I have an advantage here because I know what the question is going to be, of course. Right? You're totally screwed. All right. So you're going to ask me the question, but the key is I want you to see the format by which I go about it, and try to get to the point where I'm able to say, and that's exactly what it is to him. Okay.
Understood.
Ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, and these are going to be what is questions. What is such and such, okay? Question is, what is content marketing? So you say, Marcus, what is content marketing? Then we're going to have a conversation about it. You just roll with it, okay?
Yeah.
Try to work with me like a curious person that really wants to know. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, so Marcus, I'm trying to understand this content marketing. Can you help me understand what it is?
Okay, yeah, I love this question. So have you ever had a situation where you were looking at buying something and you just spent a ton of time on a website learning about that thing?
Yeah.
Okay, what was it about that website that just kept you coming back?
Well, I think it was, I wanted a certain product, so I kept going there to try and, learn about it.
Yeah, what were some of the specific topics they were willing to discuss?
The specs on the product.
Okay, specs on product.
Cost of it.
All right, cost of it.
They had pictures and galleries and, so you could see everything.
Yeah. Were they giving you more information than pretty much everybody else?
Yeah, they were actually.
Yeah, and because they were willing to give you that information, how did that make you feel towards that company? What was the emotion you felt towards them?
I ultimately ended up buying it, so
what was that emotion that you felt towards them?
Probably trust.
Trust, and that's exactly what content marketing is. That's it.
That's pretty smooth.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right? Everybody see how we did that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right? So, now, you have
but real quick, so what if I didn't say trust?
If you didn't say trust, you could have said anything, but because of the questions and where we had gone to that point, you bought from them, so it was going to be something aligned with trust.
Yeah.
So if you said confidence,
yeah,
right?
That's fine.
So I would have said, and that's exactly what content marketing is.
Gotcha. So it doesn't necessarily have to be trust.
No, in that case, but I knew that that's probably what you're going to say. And notice how he said, I bought from them, but I still came right back. But what was the emotion you felt?
Yeah.
Because what I wanted to get to was, what was the emotion?
Attached with content marketing.
Because that allows you to clearly understand, so content marketing is actually just all about trust. So all that information they were able to give me. I got it. That makes sense. Now, this game is an exaggeration of question first mindsets. In other words, you're not necessarily going to live your life where you just ask questions. But if you can just ask questions and get to that point, you'll be world class in any moment, being able to just flip the switch and be that leader. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, so you're going to ask them the question this time. You're going to do your best. Do you understand the rules?
Yes.
You can only ask
Questions and say one statement.
questions. And when are you allowed to make a statement?
At the end, when that's exactly it.
And that's exactly what it is.
Could you say you're right?
It is.
That would-
You are so right, Randy.
Okay, all right.
How
So-
did you get so smart?
Now, as you can imagine, this is challenging for a lot of people because what do we want to do during this activity? As the teacher, you want to do what?
Answer.
Answer it.
I want to tell.
Yeah.
It's so stinking and obvious.
I gotta
I want to
pee.
tell.
Gotta get
right?
out of here.
Right? Right. So that's why it's this challenge. Okay, here's the question that you're going to ask them. The question is, what makes for a great manager?
Okay. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm trying to understand, how can I be a great manager? What makes a good manager?
Have you been underneath a great manager before?
Yeah, I think somebody that I would consider a good manager. Yeah.
And what were the qualities that made you feel good as someone underneath them?
I felt like they heard me, that they cared about what I was doing. They were probably good at like acknowledging when I did something good. Yeah, that's what I can think of right now.
And that's exactly it.
And so you said, and that's exactly what makes for a great manager. But there's more to this story. All right?
Jump the gun.
I know.
I want to get out of there.
You jump the gun because he hasn't had a full moment of self-discovery.
Yeah.
So in order to really teach him what a great manager is, you have to tie this almost to, what does a great manager make somebody feel? What is the feelings that he has towards that person because they did those things? How has that person impacted his life? Now, once you start to go there, you're going to get a lot more. So keep going from the last point that he said, go further and allow him to talk more, and then you're going to see how it opens up a different mindset of really, hey, okay, now I understand what makes a great manager. Keep going.
Can you remind me of your last point?
So I had said that they acknowledged, like when I did something good, that they heard me. I think it was like the two things I had said.
And why is being heard important to you?
That's a good question. I mean, I think because we want to know we matter. And so when the manager made me feel like I matter, it made me want to work harder. It made me want to be better because I felt good.
And there's that.
So you're thinking to yourself right now, what? Should I stop or do I keep going? Is that what you're thinking? Am I there or am I not there?
Because that's a pretty good place.
Yeah, that was a really great
Yeah.
place, right? The
Yeah.
only thing that you might add is,
Yeah.
and because he made you feel that way, how do you feel towards that person today?
They're a good manager.
In other words, what's the emotion you have towards that person?
Respect.
Respect. And that's exactly what makes for a great manager.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so cool about this role play and this video series
what's
is,
going on here
See
now.
what's
is
happening?
like
Yeah.
it's just great to see. This isn't easy.
No.
No, and I screw this up all the time. I'm good at not answering questions. I've had to train myself out of that, and it took me a long time to get there.
Yep.
But now I'm not very good at asking those intelligent questions rather than it's not a whole lot better to just be like, what do you think? Because I'd say that I'm thinking to myself how many times I've said it probably this week.
Yes.
And it's Tuesday.
Yes. And the issue
72
so-
times.
Sometimes, Aaron, this is a great point. Sometimes what do you think is okay, but it has to be set up with caring,
I
high
understand
caring,
that. Yeah.
which is something to the effect of, I get you, but tell me, what do you think? What would you do in this moment? Let's figure this out. Because you're just adding that element of, I am cheering you on. You are great. You can figure this out. Let's figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a matter of, dude, just go figure it out. Now, you might say that to your brother, but you're not going to say that to your team members as a whole. Not if we're going to transform our team. And what's amazing about this is, you want to create a farm system of leaders in your organization? You do this just a few times with someone, and they will eventually say to you, so can you help me understand how you do that thing we do whenever I come to you with a problem? And then you're able to say, well, you mean question first.
Yeah, like I'm just having this like epiphany, and what I'm thinking is, I have been in so many meetings where people are like, we don't have any project managers. And it's like, because we've worked so hard in our industry to create a system that doesn't have this asking questions. So if it's not in the system, they don't know how to project manage, right?
Great point.
Like this fix is industry issues, and it's not easy to do.
Correct.
But it's simple, right? It's a simple principle.
That's right.
With practice, anybody can be good at
Anybody
this.
can do this. And I know that to be true because I've seen it. I have watched this mindset change lives. I've had parents come to me and say, after like attending some of my different trainings or sessions on this, they come to me and say, my relationship with my child is completely different today than it was 6 weeks ago. Team members or leaders come to me and say, this happens all the time. We just had the best team meeting we've ever had, and I talked less than I've ever talked before. That's always the correlation, right?
Yeah, you were talking earlier, and the thought that came to me was, you were talking about being a parent and being a leader, and like how we want to answer the questions. And the thought I had was, I can't think of an experience in my career where I don't feel more proud or more joy than when I watch my kids or I watch those who I've mentored do this, like solve problems. Like it feels so good to see them go out and solve a problem and find joy in it and be proud of it. Like there's nothing better. So like if you haven't felt that, like this will help you feel it, and that's exciting.
It's like, to me, the happiest football coach ever has to be Bill Walsh, because he produced the most Super Bowl winners that went on to become world-class coaches. That's the sign of greatness, right? And that's how we leave a legacy on a company, on our kids. That's the essence of question first. And to your point, if we do this, it will change lives. It will take practice. It's not necessarily easy. That game we just did, the question-only game, that's literally something that if you're watching this, you should do this with your team sometime. And it's going to make such an amazing difference if you do.